Okay, I have a statistic before me here, and it's quite mind-boggling because looking at the figures, I'm just going to let you know, and our viewers as well, which says that that the federal government and few private sector employers can only absorb 10% of about 138,000 graduates of universities and tertiary institutions annually.
Yep.
What does this say to you?
The economy that we run today, the government run the economy. Instead of the
We're
private.
seeing involvement of private sectors, and that is increasing as well.
It is increasing, but at what stage, at what percentage? Now, if we go back to what we've been talking about advocating the last few years, we're talking about access to finance, for example. If you need to grow, you see, in every economy, developed and growing economy, right, you need to look into your microeconomy quite vividly. Because those businesses, those SMEs in there are the ones that actually grow the economy. But if the access to what they're going to be able to do to grow is not there for them, the policies are not there, it's not helping them, it's not going to happen. So now, for the private sector to be able to grow an economy, the government's policy needs to be right. Now, access to finance is one. Okay? Now, the ability for government to support businesses is another one. Okay? Now, the government has no business in running business of the economy than to make policies for the private sector to drive the economy. That's how it's been done in every other client.
Now, still, we keep getting back to the issue of policy and all of that. And over the years, we've seen policy changes, you know, by government, various government. And it seems, in some way, doesn't seem to have helped the situation when, like you said, there's been a lot of acts, like the Content Acts, Nigerian Content Development Acts that was been, and no one is looking into it. And perhaps, how do you think we can make this work?
Again, I mean, like I said earlier, we keep driving back to government policies. Now, the issue is this. I mean, you have the law in place or the policy in place. Now, if it's not properly being monitored, it's not going to work. Now, I've been to places whereby you have foreign companies. It's great for them to come into this economy, to grow the economy, great. But the point is when they begin to take advantage of the situation on ground, then that is a problem. Now, when you have an organization whereby from the top hierarchy down to the managerial level is being run by the foreigners who came into the country, and you have the menial, the laborers, I mean, even though they're graduates and with fantastic skills and everything, being run at the bottom line. How does that work? It wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to bring these people up to acquire more skills, to be able to run a bigger business or bigger environment.
Is it that we don't believe in ourselves and being able to run companies?
It is not just we believe in ourselves, but what about the people that are taking advantage of the whole thing? Not just the foreigners alone, and some of our own people as well do the same thing. Now, the issue is, if we don't begin to believe and send people on training, begin to grow them, begin to mentor them, and making them to believe in what they do, to grow and acquire more skills, then there is a problem. It's not going to happen. So it's the policy, I keep saying that is not been effective. We need to monitor every policy concerning the Labour Act. Then when you do that, then you begin to find out that there are a lot of things that the labour force can actually offer the economy, rather than just being discriminated against by people that they don't have a voice to speak to. Now,
we know that the fact that a person is not employed leads to the issue of vices that come from that unemployment. For someone who hasn't got a job, some of them go into all kinds of things to survive, which is from crime to kidnapping, prostitution, and all of that. The list is endless. Now, there are organizations that have brought up initiatives to help curb these menace, this helpless situation, and some of them seem to have tapped into what can be regarded as the word of the social media, you know, in a way to ensure that they help to keep these people busy. They get them involved in the issue of activities on Facebook, BlackBerry, Twitter, and YouTube. The emergence of the social media, has it in any way led to the creation of more employment opportunities for our youth?
Personally, I think it's been, when we use the word social, it's been used socially in the wrong direction, not to create, we're not been utilizing those facilities to create employment. For example, I spoke about the GIS, the Graduate Internship Scheme, right? Now, if we put that, a hashtag GIS, right, on every link, on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on and so forth, I can tell you within 24 hours, millions of graduates, unemployed graduates, who doesn't have skills, will be able to understand what that GIS means and what it's going to lead to, how it's going to build them, how it's going to develop them. Now, my concern is billions of naira is being budgeted for that program. Now, what happens to is when the figures they're actually trying to bring out there to reduce unemployment it doesn't come into play, what happens to the money?
Doesn't mean that we don't have, perhaps they're working, but we don't know what they're doing. They need to release information to the public for us to understand what they're doing and to know the extent of work that has been carried out.
Absolutely, like I said earlier, this is my industry, and I speak to people on a regular basis, hundreds of people on a daily basis. Now, I can tell you the number of, maybe 1 out of 500 job seeker graduates have ever heard about GIS under the sure pay. If we go around and speak to the employers as well, they don't know anything about this. But this is an avenue, this is an open door for us to be able to tap into. If we begin to bring the awareness to everybody, I mean, it works. It will work.
Now, it seems that the GIS was launched alongside the UN thing, or around the same time.
Yeah, around the same
time. And so it seems a lot of people knew more about the UN initiative of the government than the GIS. Because of a lot of information, a lot of advertisement, and a lot of the kind of commitment that the government gave towards the UN. Wasn't that also been towards the GIS? We didn't have the same.
Not as much. And to be honest with you, the GIS has more weight than every other policies under the sure pay.
So what is the problem?
Awareness. I mean, very little limited of people are actually aware of that program.
Okay, I'd like you to hold your thought for us for a minute. We're going on a break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Adeleye has been our guest, and we've been looking at the human capital development, rather we're looking at Nigeria's unemployment rate. He is a human capital development expert, and we've been talking about Nigeria's unemployment rate, which is one issue that has been of concern to everyone out there, whether you're an employer, employee, or you're yet to get a job, is an issue that must be tackled. We'll be right back.